Hey guys, it's Robbie K, and I apologize for essentially coming at you so late with a review, but it was a long night tonight, and nevertheless, I'm here with another Robbie's Movie Reviews. On tonight's film, we're focusing on the latest of the Harry Potter series in terms of what we like to call Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Now, if you are into this wizarding world, you know it's probably going to be a big deal because this thing has been advertised out the wazoo. But in case you're not, then we're going to try to give you a little bit of heads up in case you're a casual fan, maybe accompanying a super fan. As I said, it's Robbie's Movie Review sharing the opinions without doing any spoilers. So let's hope that I give you the goods and help you determine whether or not what to get ready for when you go check this film out. So, if you're new to the channel, here's how we do it. We start with the trailer, go into a phase 1 review that's very quick and dirty, and then we finish up with kind of the likes and dislikes. That way you can figure out how much you want to hear, and then hopefully peace out afterwards so that you get the most out of your time. Outside of that, I do my best to make sure there are no spoilers again, and so if I accidentally do it, my apologies, but I've been doing very good about not doing it. So let's get started. For Fantastic Beasts 2, as we're going to call it, the movie is essentially continuing Newt Scamander's quest as he tries to figure out how to go about integrating Beast in the world with his personal drama. And this time in the form of Johnny Depp's rogue wizard Grindelwald, who is a kind of Voldemort precursor who's escaped and has now been assigned by multiple agencies to be the one to take him down, or at least try to find him and bring him back to justice. Amidst this is a lot of other plots of integrating the characters from the first film, and what's sure to be a very drama and story-filled version with hopefully a little magical antics and adventure at hand. So where do we go with this? Well, let's talk about, of course, the quick and dirty review. In regards to Fantastic Beasts 2, I myself was very happy with a lot of the choices that they made. To quote my friend Rashad, as well as my friend Alyssa, who were both there tonight, it's a very plot-driven film. And so those kind of looking for the J.K. Rowling storytelling, the drama, the character integration, the plot component, you've got it in this film. Alongside a lot of magical wonder that we love from the series in terms of bringing creatures to life and this design and seeing the magic come to play. It's beautifully cast with it to make this wonderful continuation of the world, leading up to what can potentially be yet the kind of the next Harry Potter series, just depending on how much they want to do with it. Casting is great. Acting brings super fun times back to it with the charm and quirks of the first one, but yet still pushing the character development role and really trying to bring out that J.K. Rowling imagination to the full effect. In regards to a couple of other things that yours truly, found a few limitations, is that it is a very plot-centric one. So it drags at times and needs a little pick-me-up to kind of maybe get the tension up, the suspense, and maybe kind of alter the pace a little bit so that way one can, get a little more excitement into it. In addition, it also suffers from what I like to call second movie syndrome, which a lot of sequels suffer from in terms of if it's a planned trilogy or beyond, they're setting up for the next movie. And if you really like that component, you've got it. But if you're looking for a little more balance, that's kind of where this movie is failing in regards to a lot of the story is all about going to towards leading up to the third film. So standing alone by itself, it's going to kind of have some trouble with it just depending on how the next parts are answered. Overall, though, it's a very, I think, it's a very well-designed addition to the Harry Potter universe, making sure to still capture the fun and magic, bring that sense of adventure to coming play, but just doing a lot more of the plot telling as opposed to the excitement I think the trailers painted. Still, fun, a great addition. Most people are going to end up seeing this no matter what I say. So where are my scores with it? In terms of fantasy, adventure, and darkness, as well as kind of, if they call it action, I guess I'll have to give it to that. Let's put it at probably an 8. Maybe an 8.5 if I'm going that far, but I'm going to say more towards the 8 line. Whereas in terms of the movie overall, definitely probably a 7.5, 8. So it's going to match right around that category. Nevertheless, fun adventure. And if this is where I leave you, I hope you enjoyed the trailer or the review and that I was able to answer some questions. However, if you're looking for a few more details, stick around because we're about to hit phase 2. Now, if you know the channel as well as you do, we've got the likes coming in. And let's go back to what I absolutely love about these films, the ability to craft and bring the magical world to full-on life. Warner Brothers sometimes is having some difficulties with some of their movies, but in terms of the special effects, they still dish out the goods very well. And Fantastic Beasts 2 is no exception. It is beautiful portrayal of CGI, bringing modern day effects with a little magical twist that's creative, witty, clever, and very well executed in terms of the animation of the film. I myself absolutely love watching statues come to life and our wizards integrate really complex spells. So, kudos to them for doing that. And I think even in terms of creature design, while there are definitely some repeats, there are some new additions to the magical creature family that are gorgeous and definitely going to be up the merchandising alley if it hasn't already been done. The Crimes of Grindelwald's main crime is coming up with these really awesome beasts in terms of color array and just really showing off Newt's passion for it and further expanding the world that J.K. Rowling created all those years ago. In terms of the next part, again, the acting component, I always love who they bring out of the woodwork. And I think, it's just a very well done cast with kind of Eddie Redmayne again being a chameleon in terms of how he goes about playing portrayals of characters. Whether it's these very intense roles, like from The Theory of Everything, to these very fun yet eclectic roles that are good characters to kind of grab onto. His other supporting actors and actresses do a great job, but I'm going to kind of try to hit some of the highlights in terms of Jude Law, kind of a new addition to the cast who rocked the role of young Dumbledore. Witty, kind of a smart aleck with so many layers that Jude Law just executes it perfectly in a nonchalant manner. Well, Johnny Depp reprises a little bit of his Whitey role from, the Black Mass movie that he did a long time ago, bringing that kind of clever coyness and eerie, odd planning that then comes back and has a little more bite and a very good villain, which I guess brings me to J.K. Rowling knows how to do character development, and I myself love the characters that are in this film. Again, Newt Scamander at first seemed like such a simple role, and it evolved. And I absolutely love seeing him kind of be pulled out of his comfort zone further in order to address some of the new feelings. So very good job in terms of character setup with him. The newcomers of Rita, who I don't want to say the last name because I don't want to give anything away, but Rita, and Newt's brother Theseus. Again, maybe not all the way there, but very good integrated characters whose backstories are very, very good in terms of how they go about it. And again, complex characters whose secrets really drive the point. The young Dumbledore is pretty much how she designed him in the book, so well done there. While Grindelwald, a character that we had some skeletal structures with and some footnotes on, has really evolved and definitely probably my most surprised of the characters that they brought to in regards to seeing how much he's developed. Most of the villains that we know are grandiose, very kind of stuck in their sociopathic mindset that it consumes them. And with Grindelwald, while there is a goal that we already have learned about in the past movie, it's not such a fixation. So it's a very well-balanced central antagonist that I really enjoyed kind of gripping on to. The biggest thing that I also love too is that the plot development here. It is a great movie in regards to just a plot-centric focus. Kind of foregoing some of the other things we've loved in the movie, but really bringing with it integrated, complex relationship, multi-tiered stories that kind of go in tangent and work together to craft what feels like a new J.K. Rowling book, which I'm sure the novelization will do. it's complex, it's interweaving, and it's dynamic. And that gets props because I think that's kind of what the movie needed in order to go about with the bridging. Um, and so, kudos to that for doing a nice job of developing the story. Now, in regards to some of the other things, there's some really good comedy put into it. So while it's not the central focus, the comedy is very, again, meshed into the tale, doing its best to be subtle, be fun, and definitely still go alongside the characters, whether it's a quirky sort of social shy tick from Newt to just Jacob coming out and saying his usual mundane delivery and sarcasm that works beautifully. So all of those work together very well. In regards to, I guess, what I have to agree with the other fans, and the last like that I'll put in here is that this movie's got a lot of emotional pack to it as well. Because of the character-centric stories, because of the plot focus itself, this movie, The Crimes of Grindelwald, does a fantastic job of bringing the emotions of the characters out and really having you get the feels for them. While I myself didn't cry, neither did my fellow audience members that were sitting adjacent to me. I know that the showing before me said that there were a couple of people who really were brought to tears at a lot of the stuff brought in. And while it's a bit cliche, I really think that the emotional component rocked in this film. So, kudos to them for doing that as well. So then when you kind of bring it to my dislikes, here's where the first part goes. You know that I like a movie that's going to move, especially when it's over 2 hours. And after an exciting opening, I can say that The Crimes of Grindelwald suffered from the fact that it didn't quite have its pacing down for me. Now, to agree with my buddy Tim, we had some technical difficulties that totally threw off the pace of the movie. Due to a couple of power outages showing the same scene over and over again. But I can't blame the movie on that. Instead, what this got me, though, is that because it's so plot-focused, it needed something to kind of break it up, get the monotony out, and put a little more excitement, chasing, and tension to progress the story. And that's what I felt the movie was kind of missing, in my honest opinion. I needed some more chases. I needed some more character integration. Maybe some more wizarding duels, or going through a trial or a deal. What we love about in Harry Potter. That was kind of missing in this movie for me. In addition, the second thing is that I kind of felt that some of the characters were kind of just added in there. Now, I can't really say much more because in doing so, if you haven't seen the poster or looked at your IMDb research because you're trying to be surprised, I can't ruin it then. But there are 2 characters in particular that are another plot point. And while many of these kind of act as a focal point that extends out to other character stories, I kind of felt their inclusion really wasn't as strong as the others. Maybe because we've already gotten a few things in the first film, but otherwise, these 2 characters, I think, were meant to be something, and we'll get more in the third story. But for this movie alone, kind of a waste for me, in all honesty. I think my next thing that comes into play is that the movie was having a hard time again trying to figure out which way it wanted to go. And I think this is where my next 2 dislikes come in. First of all, being unable to decide which way they wanted to do it, I think they were missing some of the elements that made the first movie fun. Now again, maybe that's because they wanted this to be the plot-based focus, but I was missing the whimsy of it. There's a scene or 2 that really show off the whimsy, magical nature of it, but this one took a much darker tone to it and a darker role, which means that my next dislike, the creatures are there, but not really there. Yes, there is that classic scene where we see a bunch of Newt's pet friends or animalistic buddies just essentially roaming about in his magical bag of tricks. Problem is that that's about the only scene where we really get big integration, and all the merchandising that has come is short-lived and not very well utilized. And sadly seeing that's a bit of a shame. So I would have liked, again, more creature integration into it. It's not my favorite in terms of that dynamic because I love the design, but they just needed more integration. So bravo for the attempt, but maybe needing to pick it and just instead of saying Fantastic Beasts and saying Crimes of Grindelwald would have been the better story for it. Now, if you're still wondering a little bit about what else I have in terms of dislikes, well, the next thing is that, again, there are a couple of other character utilizations that are semi-weak, but something else that kind of got me is following under that kind of second movie syndrome, which is we're going to use it to set up a third movie, and that's what this acts as. Yes, we know we have bridge movies, and I totally, wholeheartedly agree that sometimes you can't escape it. But there are movies that have proven to be a second that, yes, set up for a third movie, but they alone can stand by themselves as a complete movie. Empire Strikes Back, Terminator 2 are two of the movies that I like to quote because they're movies that do a very neat job of, yes, setting up for a film, but they alone can stand alone and often are the preferred ones to watch and foregoing the others. This one, though, did not do that. It was so heavy based on setting up for it that the movie's not going to stand alone so much because it's missing those other components we talked about. That whimsical nature, a self-contained adventure, good plot-driven points that are going to be with questions answered in the next one, but doing a hasty job to try to tie up a couple of them so that it can sort of stand on its own based on some of the characters here. But it's just missing that. It's not a movie that could be kept by itself and not answered, unlike the first one, which you could have cut it right then and there and we would have been done. Well, with most of it anyway. And I guess that's kind of what the disappointing component of this is it's just, it's a little too much setup for it. And I think it just needed to take a step back. Now, again, it's not saying that it's awful, not even remotely close to being awful. But there are just some anticlimactic moments into it, too. If you remember the end of the first one, it was a little more tense and as a big chase of trying to stop this potential threat from destroying New York City. And in this one, I was there. The tension in terms of the dramatic components of how all the characters meet at this kind of centralized point to go with it and figure out what will come about with it. But the problem is that then when you actually have to get to the struggle and the impact, past the emotional exhaustion of it, it's not that exciting in my opinion. And I guess I just really miss that action suspenseful component that the movie does. Anyway, we're almost at 20 minutes here, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Overall, Crimes of Grindelwald is a fantastic addition to the universe. It's got such good visuals, good story development, great character components, and of course designs to bring it all together and give you the Harry Potter feel we both know and love. But it's not the full feel effect like I think the first one was getting better too. And in fact, while I did enjoy the character-centric plot, I needed a little more of the other Harry Potter magic to help break up, especially given that this is a 2-hour and 14-minute run through. No, there is no things at the end of the credits, so you don't have to stick around. But just get ready because there's going to be some new components and what feels like J.K. Rowling trying to continue to just add stuff off the top of her hat that never really made its way into some of the books. And doing some of those things is going to be very appealing to some because it means more Harry Potter. And to others that are appreciating her work for what it was, well, that's when you're going to get into the maybe we need to take a step back and potentially stop adding it willy-nilly. But nevertheless, go check this one out. Surround sound, visual effects, theater's very good for it. And hopefully you'll have a little better luck than I did in my showing and not have to start out, over on a couple of scenes repetitively. But nevertheless, not my favorite in the universe, but still a good rendition nonetheless. Anyways, guys, Robbie K thanking you so much. We'll have more movie reviews this week if I can get out to them. But until then, please like, subscribe, share, and let people know so I can help make this a better channel. And with it, thank you as always for tuning in. And if you have constructive criticism, I'll be happy to take it. So until then, have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye.